The time has finally come for the most important list of the year, top 10 albums of 2019. Now, I've been looking at a lot of lists lately from bigger sites like Loudwire, Metal Injection, stuff like that, and I am not pleased with their lists. Expected, though. They suck most of the time. Pretty bad lists from those guys. You know, some of the lower profile, less popular YouTubers do a lot more respectable job at putting together lists, such as like Oldhead or Wyatt X Him. Don't really completely agree with their lists, but a lot more respectable than Loudwire. Eddie Trunk, biggest name in rock radio. I have not seen a list from him yet this year. I don't think the Struts put out an album, so I don't think he's capable of making a list this year. But my top 10, I have put together a pretty good list, I think, obviously. It's a good mix of some of the bigger, more well-known bands with a lot of more obscure, newer bands that I think deserve some attention. So, here we go. So starting off the list, at number 10 is going to be the Infernal Pathway by the band 1349. Got it on CD right here. Now, this is the band's 7th album, and just really good Norwegian black metal here. My favorites on it are Through Eyes of Stone and Dodscamp, if that's how you pronounce that exactly, but yeah, I'll just say my top 2 favorites on each album. Frost, the drummer, obviously he's in Satyricon too. Really great on the drums. He's a machine. Really great drumming throughout this album. Really great, like, raw tone. They mix a lot of, like, thrash elements in here. So, you know, if you like thrash and black metal, you're definitely going to like this. And I think this is probably one of their best albums. Maybe their best of all time. It's got really good production compared to a lot of their, like, earlier stuff. Really like this one. So, yeah, The Infernal Pathway by 1349 at number 10.
This is a call to arms as we gather the path beneath the sky. No ending in sight, this is our time. Come join the fight, we'll burn down the night.
In at number 9 is going to be Humanicide by Death Angel. Good album from a really great band. This is their 9th album overall, and I got this at their concert a couple weeks ago. They still sound amazing live, put on a really good show. They have 2 original members since the beginning, Mark Osageda on vocals, who still sounds great, and Rob Cavestany on lead guitar. Lots of great riffs from him on this album, and my favorite songs I'd probably say are The Pack and Revelation song, but good stuff throughout the album. Really solid release. Highly recommend listening to it. I'm sure a lot of you guys already have, but I really like this album, so it's going to be my number 9, Humanicide by Death Angel. Taking the number 8 spot is going to be From Days Unto Darkness by the band Hatriots. Now, Hatriots, an American thrash metal band. This is their 3rd album overall. The band was actually formed by Steve Souza, and 2 of his sons are also in the band right now. Steve left the band in 2015, so his son Cody took over on vocals, and he sounds almost identical to Steve, so still sounds a lot like Exodus, vocal-wise and musically. Still very similar to Exodus, just all around. So if you like Exodus, you're going to like this. My favorites on it are One Less Hell, and I'd probably say World, Flesh, and Devil. But, you know, just really aggressive, like heavy thrash metal, similar to 2000s Exodus albums. So if you like those, I would highly recommend checking this out. Patriot, From Days Unto Darkness. Det Svarte by the band Mork is coming in at number 7. Norwegian black metal here. I don't know if I pronounced that album name correctly, but oh well. All instruments and vocals are done by a guy named Thomas Eriksson. It's got a really good old school feel to it, so if you like, you know, old school black metal, early to mid 90s, Dark Throne, Immortal, stuff like that, you're going to love this album. It's the 4th album overall from this band. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce these songs, so I like the first 2 on the album, probably the best, but pretty good stuff throughout the album. Highly recommend checking it out if you like the old school stuff from this genre. Det svarte, number 7 by the band Mork. The Knightlore by Vultures Vengeance is going to take the number 6 spot. This is an Italian heavy metal band, and they have actually been together since 2009, and this is their debut album, so just got that out, but they had a demo and 2 EPs before this. Really great band with like an old school sound here. It sounds like some random like old school traditional metal album you'd find on YouTube from like 1985 from some obscure band, but that's a good thing. Really like the sound on it. Tony Steele, the vocalist, does a good job. Fate's Weaver, the second song on the album, is amazing, probably my favorite on it, and Pathfinder's Call is probably my other favorite on the album, but would really recommend listening to this if you just like old school traditional metal. This is for you. The Knightlore by Vultures Vengeance, number 6. Up at number 5 is going to be Highway of Heroes by the band Screamer. These guys are from Sweden, and this is actually their 4th album, so they've been around a little while. Just another like newish band. Like the first one came out in 2011, so they're still pretty new. Just another band with like the old school sound, and you know, Judas Priest fans will like this. Kind of similar to them musically. The vocals, you know, that little clip I just showed, or I showed you guys, you know, it's got the like yelling, like raspy vocals. I like those. But most of the time, this guy was singing like with the softer, like smooth voice, which I don't like as much. So if the vocals were better, this could be a little bit higher. Maybe it holds it back at number 5, but still a solid album regardless. I'd say Ride On and Halo are my favorites on it. Yeah, so Highway of Heroes, number 5 by the band Screamer. Traveler in at number 4 with their self-titled debut album. Really good, new band from Canada. They formed in 2017, just got their debut album out earlier this year. I'd say my favorites on it are probably Fallen Heroes and Up to You, but a lot of good stuff mixed in throughout the album. It's got kind of like an Iron Maiden vibe in my opinion, so it's just another new wave of traditional heavy metal band. You know, really good stuff. Definitely give it a listen if you like the classic metal sound from the mid-80s, you know. Like a lot of these albums I've been saying, but really good stuff. Traveler in at number 4 with their self-titled debut. Aggressive Hauntings by the band Midnight Priest is in at number 3. These guys are from Portugal. They've been around since 2008. This is their 3rd album overall. Really solid stuff from start to finish. Great vocals from Lex Thunder. That's his name he goes by. So great vocals by him. You can really tell the influence on this album from bands like Judas Priest, Merciful Fate, King Diamond. So if you like those bands, you're going to love this album. I'd probably say my 2 favorites on it are Funeral and Eyes in the Dark. Really great vocals, guitar work, drums, all over the album here, so definitely give this a listen. Aggressive Hauntings by the band Midnight Priest in at number 3. Taking the number 2 spot is going to be the self-titled debut album from the band Mystik. Really good Swedish metal band, pretty new. They formed back in 2016. Their debut album, this one right here, just came out this year. And they've actually already had a couple lineup changes since this one was released. And something cool about the band that recorded this album, you know, it was 3/4 girls, all really young. They're like in their mid to early 20s. Sven Nilsson was the drummer's name on this album. A guy, he's actually out of the band now. So they have a new drummer, and one of the guitar players, Lo Wickman, is out of the band now. They actually moved the singer, Julia von Krusenstjerna. Sorry, I had to look at that to make sure I got that right. She moved from playing bass to rhythm guitar. At this point, she played bass on the album and sang, and her vocals are pretty good. She sounds kind of similar to Doro Pesh. So if you like her vocals, you're definitely going to like this. And one of the other guitar players, Patrice Carlson, still is a guitar player in the band currently, but they got a new drummer and bass player since the release of this album. And if I was going to like describe this music, I would say it's speed metal mixed with traditional metal with a tint of first wave black metal. So if you like any of that stuff, give this a listen. And I'd probably say Bleed for the Night and Nightmares are my favorites on the album, but really good stuff from start to finish. And before I get to number one, I've got a couple honorable mentions I'm going to read off here. I liked the Idle Hands album that came out this year called Mana. That was the debut album from that band. Saw these guys open for King Diamond. Really good stuff. I liked Abath's new album, Outstrider. Just missed the cut. Crypt Sermon had a good album. I liked the album Beyond the Realm by the band Diabolic Night. I got recommended that band from the YouTuber WyattXHim, so that's a good album there. And I'd probably say The End of Chaos by Flotsam and Jetsam, The Wings of War by Overkill, a good one. So many good albums. A really good album from this new black metal band called Vargrov called Reign in Supreme Darkness. That's a pretty good album, but we got to get to number one here, so here we go. Taking the number one spot is going to be Burn the Night by the band Riot City. Really great band from Canada. They've actually been around since 2011 and just got their first album out this year. But it's amazing. It's been my leading contender for number one since I first heard it back like a couple months ago. Really great vocals from Cal Savvy, I think is how you pronounce his name. But, he's got a similar vocal style to like Rob Halford, King Diamond, hitting very high screams. Great vocal range from him. And I think I actually just read that they got a new vocalist, so I don't know what's up with that, if something's wrong with his voice now or what, but I'm going to have to look more into that. But on this album, he does great. Favorites on it are probably the title track, Warrior of Time, 329 is amazing, but from start to finish, awesome album, great guitar work, riffs, solos, all over the album, vocals amazing, but so Burn the Night, Riot City, my number one. You guys can let me know what you thought about my ranking and give me what your ranking is, because this is just my opinion. I really doubt that anybody's going to completely agree with this. But, definitely go through and listen to these albums, the ones you haven't heard of. You will not be disappointed. Lots of great stuff here. I'm sure there's a lot of stuff I didn't mention that's awesome, too. This was a really great year for metal. And, so just let me know what you thought. And until next time, thank you for watching.